Humanity ventured into space as a small race among hundreds of ancient civilizations. They did not possess the brute strength of the Zeldar warriors, nor the unparalleled intellect of the Zorkai Council, nor the advanced weaponry of the Grakan Empire. But they had something no one had anticipated, a form of language that was not just a means of communication, but something that could directly affect the advanced control systems of alien civilizations. The battle erupted without warning. A Zeldar fleet appeared on the outskirts of Epsilon 3, a frontier planet of the Human Alliance. Alarm signals blared across the command deck of the USS Dauntless, a heavy warship designed to withstand small-scale skirmishes. But when Carter, a ship engineer whose primary duty was maintaining the ship's power systems, realized that over 20 Zeldar warships were closing in, he knew this was no ordinary encounter. This was an invasion. Carter was no soldier. His job was to monitor system metrics, check energy levels, maintain the central server, and patch software glitches that pilots often ignored. As explosions rocked the ship, he could feel the vibrations of enemy fire pounding against the hull. The USS Dauntless fought back, but given the overwhelming firepower difference, everyone aboard knew they could only hold out for a few minutes. The screen in front of Carter was flooded with red alerts. A critical error had appeared in the navigation system as their control software was compromised by an alien virus. The Zeldar were not just military brutes. They were masters of electronic warfare. Carter's fingers flew across the keyboard as he desperately tried to restore the system, but everything was spiraling out of control. More explosions roared through the corridors. Crew members shouted. A commanding officer yelled that the energy shields had collapsed. There was no escape. Carter clenched his jaw, bracing himself for the inevitable. Their ship was about to be destroyed. But then, in the midst of chaos, in a moment of pure desperation when he had no idea what else to do, Carter absentmindedly muttered the phrase he had known all his life. Ctrl plus Alt plus Delaware. And the impossible happened. Every screen on the ship, not just on the Dauntless, but across the entire Zeldar fleet, flickered simultaneously. Then suddenly, everything stopped. Carter blinked, unsure of what he was witnessing. The blaring alarms fell silent. The explosion ceased. On the radar, the Zeldar fleet drifted aimlessly, completely immobilized. Their thrusters had shut down. Their weapons fell dormant. No signs of activity. On the command bridge, Captain Williams stared at the tactical display in shock. "What the hell just happened?" he murmured. Carter had no answer, but he realized one thing. Somehow, the simple phrase he had uttered had crashed the enemy's entire system. Earth had just won a battle. Not through superior weapons, not through masterful military strategy, but with a single spoken command. And this was only the beginning. After the incident at the edge of the galaxy, where a simple human command had disabled an entire Zeldar fleet, Earth scientists and cybersecurity experts launched an immediate investigation. What had once seemed like a meaningless fluke was now the most urgent and controversial topic in military and technological circles. Alien programming languages were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The galaxy's more advanced civilizations didn't use simple command scripts like humans did. Instead, they relied on quantum neural networks, highly sophisticated systems that mimicked biological intelligence. These systems could react instantly to their environment, learn, and evolve over time. But ironically, this very complexity was their fatal flaw. These systems were designed to interpret a strict set of pre-programmed commands, structured like absolute laws. No alien civilization had ever conceived of linguistic chaos the way humans had. There were no syntax errors, no room for improvisation, no concept of acceptable margin of error. And then, humanity uncovered something terrifying. Any command spoken by a human could be interpreted as a valid directive by alien AI systems. It was the equivalent of crashing the most advanced security networks in the universe simply by typing a few nonsense words into a command line. The first test took place aboard a captured Varn AK warship, seized in an ambush near a colonial border. The vessel was hauled to a classified research station on Titan. Scientists hesitated to experiment with verbal commands. One wrong move could trigger a self-destruct sequence or cause the ship to retaliate. But then, a seasoned hacker, known by the alias Spectre, volunteered for the test. He was a legend in cybersecurity, having previously disabled Earth's own AI defense systems with just a few lines of code. Spectre stood before the central control panel of the Varnake ship, staring at the incomprehensible alien network architecture built on a language never before seen by mankind. He took a deep breath, activated the ship's microphone, and spoke, "Format C." At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, red warning lights flashed across the console. Lines of alien script scrolled down the display at blinding speed. Spectre barely had time to register what was happening before every single file in the Varnake system was erased in mere seconds. Every function reset to factory defaults, as if the ship had just been constructed. No resistance. No firewalls. The warship became nothing more than a lifeless husk, drifting aimlessly in space. After this horrifying success, the experiments escalated. A covert Earth agent infiltrated a Zorkai communication hub, one of the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. The Zorkai were intellectual titans, their civilization powered by quantum networks that governed every aspect of their existence. Once inside their main communication relay, the agent uttered just 4 simple words over their transmission system. RM, RF/*. Instantly, the Zorkai's central data archives vanished. Their power grids collapsed. Their satellites entered an eternal sleep. Their capital city, a massive metropolis spanning an entire moon, plunged into darkness as if it had never existed. Billions of Zorkai lost all records of their history, culture, and technology in an instant. They had lived for millennia, with their collective knowledge stored within their quantum networks. Now, all that remained was a civilization spiraling into chaos. A single human command had erased an empire from the stars. Earth's leaders, politicians, generals, and scientists slowly came to a horrifying realization. Humanity didn't just have nuclear weapons. They had something far worse. Asterisk, they possessed a language of destruction, with nothing more than spoken words, intentional or accidental. Humans could obliterate entire civilizations, erase a species' entire history, or turn planet-sized war machines into useless debris drifting in space. And the most terrifying truth of all, the universe had no way to stop it. As news of humanity's language of destruction spread, the entire galaxy descended into panic. The once proud species that had ruled the stars now cowered in fear of a weapon they could neither see nor stop. Humans only had to speak, and civilizations would fall. The most powerful empires in the universe convened emergency summits. The Galactic Alliance, once little more than a loose diplomatic coalition, was now forced to act as a unified front. Their singular objective: stop humanity before it was too late. Every species scrambled to protect their systems from the human linguistic plague. Quantum translation algorithms were updated to block any suspicious commands. Warship AIs were reprogrammed to ignore all Earth-based languages. But no matter how hard they tried, humanity always found a loophole. A human agent was captured at Drex 4 Fortress, the highest security prison in the Alliance. Constructed from reinforced crystalline alloys and protected by force fields impervious to any physical assault, it was considered unbreakable. As a precaution, the agent was bound and fitted with a bio-encryption muzzle, ensuring not a single sound escaped his lips. But they had overlooked one critical fact. The prison's entire security infrastructure still ran on command-based programming. When a careless guard loosened the vocal restraints for a mere second, the human agent smiled, leaned toward the security microphone, and whispered, "Pseudo shutdown H now." A moment of silence. Then every light in the prison flickered off. Cell doors unlocked simultaneously. The force fields collapsed. The massive fortress plunged into darkness. And in less than 10 minutes, what had once been the most secure prison in the galaxy was nothing more than drifting wreckage in space. The alien species were no longer trying to defeat humanity. They were simply trying to survive. The once mighty fleets of the Galactic Alliance now operated with a singular directive: silence humanity before they could speak. Soundproof battle armor was developed. Starships were programmed to reject audio signals from any external source. AI translators were decommissioned to prevent infiltration. But it still wasn't enough. Every time they thought they had found a way to block humanity's commands, an agent, a soldier, or even a captured civilian would utter a single phrase, one simple string of words, and their entire system would crumble. In a battle on the outskirts of Sigma 5, a fleet of 300 galactic warships gathered to annihilate a small human strike force. With overwhelming numbers, they believed this would be the moment humanity could no longer win with mere words. They were wrong. A human pilot, Callie Echo Vance, was shot down and left drifting in an escape pod amidst the battlefield. The Galactic fleet intercepted her distress signal and moved to capture her. In the final seconds before she was pulled in, Callie activated her comms and spoke just 3 words. Task Manager open. Every alien ship within range froze. Not exploded, not burned, just stopped functioning. Not a single shot was fired. 300 warships erased from the battle with 3 words. Humanity wasn't just a species. They were a nightmare. The leaders of the galaxy's greatest civilizations gathered for one final council. A terrifying decision was made. If humanity could not be controlled, they had to be erased. The operation was named Silence Protocol. Over 1 million warships from every remaining species formed the largest armada in history and set course for Earth. They did not come to negotiate. There were no alternatives left. Their one and only order: destroy humanity at any cost. But they didn't know that on Earth, the greatest minds of the human race had been preparing for this moment all along. And they had something far more terrifying than the commands that had already shattered the galaxy. Because humanity didn't just have the language of destruction. They had a plan. When the tremendous power of human language was exposed to the entire galaxy, a terrifying question began to form in the minds of the survivors. How did humanity possess this kind of power? Alien species relentlessly searched for an answer. Ancient civilizations, once existing for millions of years and self-proclaimed as the pinnacle of intellect, were now forced to accept a harsh truth. They never understood humanity. They scoured every piece of Earth's history, digging through piles of data, listening to millions of hours of human media. Alien linguists spent months analyzing what seemed like meaningless syllables from humans, trying to find some kind of pattern. But the more they studied, the more desperate they became, because there was no pattern. Human language was unlike any system they had ever encountered. It didn't follow the rigid, mechanical structure of their command codes. It wasn't confined to predictable mathematical models. It wasn't just a tool for communication. It was a primal force that had never been decoded. And then a horrifying question arose. If human language can destroy, can it create? In a secret laboratory on Earth, humanity's top research team began to ask the same question. If they could speak words that wiped out entire alien civilizations, could there be a command that could create life? The first experiment took place in a vacuum chamber, with an artificial bacterium programmed to react to sound signals. The scientists whispered "dear/life," and nothing happened. They tried other methods: generate new organism, echo DNA sequence, but all of them were just meaningless phrases to a universe devoid of awareness. Then, one researcher, an experienced hacker who had used the power of human language to obliterate hundreds of alien warships, suddenly remembered something. He recalled a time, centuries ago, when humanity was just stepping into the world of digitalization. He thought back to something that had once created an entire world with nothing but simple commands. And he spoke. Run simulation.exe. At first, it seemed nothing had happened. Then suddenly, on their supercomputer screen, a simulation appeared. A virtual world began to form, with rocks, rivers, and clouds drifting lazily across the sky. It wasn't a typical simulation. It had no code behind it. It shouldn't exist. And that was when humanity realized what they were holding in their hands. The final, most terrifying question emerged. If human words can distort reality in such an illogical way, then is this reality even real? A wild hypothesis began to form in the minds of the scientists, the hackers, the ones who had used language to obliterate an entire civilization. The universe is not a physical world. It's a program so vast that no one could ever see the entire source code. A system that had existed so long that even the oldest civilizations had never noticed it. But for some reason, only humanity has access. And now, they were left with just one final question to answer. If we can rewrite the universe, what should we write?